Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. Thank you, Master of Ceremony, the Honorable Professor Theologist Dr. Ruzairi bin Abdul Rahim, Vice Chancellor University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, Professor Theologist Dr. Abdul Rashid bin Abdul Razak, Dean Faculty of Technical and Vocational and Education, UTHM, Associate Professor Theologist Dr. Mimi Muhafizah bin Muhammad, Chairman of the Board TIVET 2022, Board TIVET Committee members, honorable guests, participants of the 8th Board TIVET 2022, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the organizing committee for inviting me here today as one of the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, before I proceed, I would like to get your attention to think about the world that we are currently living. So nobody ever predicted that the COVID-19 gave us such big impact economically and even emotionally, and even now we are living in the new norm. Having said that, the current leaders are facing a very big challenge in the uncertain and complex world. So we cannot replicate the strategy that have been done before because it might not work in today's world. So talking about the big challenges and the current and the future leaders, what are the needs and the requirements for them to become a good leader in a VUCA world? So today I would like to talk about leading in a VUCA world. When we talk about a leader, so I would like to ask you, who is called as leader? It might be simple, it might be easy, but the true leader is someone who inspires passion and motivation in followers. A leader is someone with a vision and a path to realizing it. A leader also is someone who ensures their team has support and tools to achieve the goal. So when we talk about the leader, to become a good leader, we need to go through experience and training and even guidance from our management and even through the scenario that currently happening into this world. So now let's move to the most common characteristic of a leader. You might wonder, what are the criteria, what are the requirements to become a leader? So the first one is a purpose. So without sense of purpose, it's hard to motivate team members. So talking about motivate, so a leader also is a great motivator. Leaders can bring uplift the motivation in their team members. The third one is about the vision. Leaders can see the bigger picture and can unite team members behind their vision. And the fourth one is empathy. Leaders understand and have empathized their team members. So if you have the characteristic, you will become a good leader. So the fifth one is about the creativity. When we talk about the creativity, we always put in our mind the word why and how to get a good outcome. So the sixth one is the team vision. Although the company's overall mission may begin with its leader, so their vision will account for nothing if it doesn't speak to team members. And the last one is always trying to improve. So leaders never stop bettering themselves, they never stop learning. So by having this kind of characteristic, you will achieve a good momentum and come out with a good results at the end of certain project or task given to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to share to you the well-being team roles. So for a team, it not only consists of the leader but also the team members. So for each of the team members, a leader should understand what are their roles and what are their expertise for you to dig into details and to trigger their capabilities. So this is really important for a leader to understand this type of role, team role, for you to understand and to find out which are the role that is suit well to your team member. So the first one is the coordinator, second one is completer, finisher, team worker, implementer, specialist, resource investigator, shaper, and also plant. So talking about this role, let's move to the next slide. So basically the team role consists of this kind of a role based on the well-being. The plan is about the creativity and imaginative team members. Resource investigator, someone is very outgoing and also likes to explore new opportunities. Coordinator is someone is very mature, confident, identifies talent. Shaper is about challenging and dynamic person. Monitor, evaluator, strategy and discerning, see all options. Team worker is people that are cooperative and listen and avoid frictions. Implementer is someone who is very practical, reliable, efficient. Completer, finisher, painstaking, conscientious, anxious, and specialist. This is someone is very special and they are very experts in their field. So from all these 9 team roles from Belbin, he mentioned that this can be categorized into 3 important domains. The first one is about thinking roles, second one is about action roles, and the third one is about people roles. So you can see by yourself by using, I don't have time to share with you the inventory that you can use to identify which role actually suits you very well. So as a leader, maybe you would like to find out what are the criteria or what is the expertise of each of your team member. You can use that inventory. You can Google it by typing the Belbin team roles inventory. So this is very interesting for you to understand the strength and weakness of your team members. Now let's move to our main agenda. It's about the VUCA. We have listened and we have discussed a bit about the leader, the characteristic, and also the team member that supports you. And now we are trying to relate on the VUCA world. I believe that most of you are already aware of this about the term VUCA. So I just want to share it again to recap back what is the VUCA. So VUCA is an acronym for that emerged from the military in the 1990s. It describes the fog of war, the chaotic conditions that are encountered on the modern battlefield. So the words VUCA itself actually is an acronym, stands for V is for volatile, U uncertain, C complex and ambiguous. Now it become very popular, especially after the COVID-19. So let's move to each of the words in the VUCA acronym. So the first word, the first alphabet, volatile. Volatile is about things that change unpredictably, suddenly, extremely, especially for the worst. So we can take an example like the COVID-19. It's happened so fast, right? So even our leaders, our managers cannot predict what they should do tomorrow when dealing with the uncertain situation. So talking about uncertain is important information is not known or definite, doubtful, unclear about the present situation and the future outcomes, not able to rely upon. So it's very critical, right? If you are a leader, to make such decision is very difficult and complex, many different and connected parts. So they are is scattered around multiple key decision factors, interactions between diverse agents, emergence, adaptation, and then the weak signals. So it's really complex that you have to take into consideration in so many angles, so many aspects and perspective. That's why this is really important for you to look at certain things in multiple angles. We can call it like 360 angles. And then ambiguous, open to more than one interpretation. So it can be understood in many ways. This is really important that you have to conduct a clear communications to make sure that everyone understand the current scenario and even to tell the people what you are thinking, your strategy in a proper manner. So volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. So there are demands for this. When we are dealing with the volatility, a leader should have a vision. So a vision is about to take actions and probe changes. To the demands for the uncertainty, how you counter it back is to have understanding, wider understanding from different perspective. And let's move to the complexity. The demands is about the clarity. Because it's complex, you have to get focused on a specific angle, specific area, and do it one by one. you also have to be flexible and creative to deal with certain situation. And ambiguity, the demands its agility. Yeah, we always talk about agility and resilience, so this is quite famous right now. So it's about the decision making and innovation in your decision making. I would like to relate the VUCA concept, yeah, volatility, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, towards the leadership. What are the correlations? What are actually we can benefit from the current scenario? So as a leader, we have to understand about the VUCA leadership, because we might read about the previous strategy or previous practices. We can learn from that, but to implement the same strategy, to imitate or replicate the same things into this world is quite critical and a big challenge, because even our generation are also quite different. We are dealing with the people, technology people, when the fast changing of the transformation on the digital world. People, young people now are having a very interest in digitalization. So we have to understand that. So VUCA World that produce VUCA leadership is a style of leadership that is adaptable and responsive to change, open-minded and able to think outside the box. So the most important thing is responsive to change. We have to make a very quick decision. VUCA leaders need to be aware of the challenges inherent in VUCA environments and use various strategies such as collaborative decision making, self-awareness, effective communication, and transparency, and hiring flexible employees to overcome them. So this is very important for you to have a very reliable, you can depend on your employees to work together with you. So this is about the VUCA leadership. Let's take a look at this diagram about the how well can you predict the outcomes of given decisions today. So it's very important for you to make a quick decision. For example, in the volatility, the instability of the rapidness of change. So and then also on the uncertainty. For example, you are dealing with the stock market exchange. Even last time when we have changing in our political situations, we change our prime minister. Even they got some it affects our stock exchange, and also about the currency also is fluctuated. So to predict that, you need to get a very good experience and need a good knowledge and experience to a certain issues. And I would like to take a simple example, like you are doing businesses, like a small business. uh, you are now, for example, you are selling nasi lemak, for example, and now you are aware that the current ingredients, the price is increased stagnantly, and even now, you know, the oil for cooking and materials, all those things get increased very high, you know. And even you can not even get a very cheap delicacies out there. So if you are dealing with these situations, you want to sell your nasi lemak at the same price. Either you want to reduce the ingredients, like to put smaller egg or smaller chicken in nasi lemak, or whether you want to maintain the current portion of nasi lemak but increase the price of that nasi lemak. So this is a quite critical issues for you to make a quick decision, because tomorrow you are going to sell it again. So and then you might feel that ambiguity, because confusing situations are not clear. So your decision making progress very slow because of the current situation. So in order to do that, you have to look in multiple angles. Maybe you can ask about your customers, your people around you, whether they willing to accept the increase of the price of nasi lemak, or they rather to pay at the same price but the minimal, or reduce the portion of nasi lemak. So this is a very basic example I can share with you. And as of now, if we take into the situations during the first time when the Malaysia hits the COVID-19, yeah, getting hit by the COVID-19, and our ministries are having a quite hard quite hard time to make a decision whether they want to buy the vaccine or not. What are the mechanism to, for example, to do the quarantine and do some of the center for checking up the people's health. So it's quite critical at that moment. So as a leader, you have to make a quick decisions, but brilliant enough to make sure that at the end of your decision, when you conduct or implement that, so you will get a good results. So talking about the agility and resilience, I would like to share this image to you regarding the bamboo. So the term resilient itself is ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. So as bamboo, be like a bamboo, bend but do not break. So now, uh, what are the skills actually required to become a VUCA leader? So I would like to emphasize and focus on these four important skills, which are the futures literacy, system thinking, anticipation, and strategic foresight. If we go further details on these important four skills, I can say that in general terms, literacy is simply the ability to read and write, although it may be intended with a broader and more insightful meaning. The significant increase of literacy across many countries in the last 2 centuries, together with the push of industrial revolution, has enabled a dramatic leap forward for civilization. So this is the skill that allows people to better imagine and make sense of the future. So this is for the skills number one, future literacy. So what about the skills number two? System thinking. Almost the challenges presented by the effects of COVID-19 relate to systems. Essentially, a system consists of three things. First one is a scope or function, second one is parts, and the third one is relationships. So we need to understand further in these three important components. In a system, the effect of interventions may appear distant in space and time. System thinking is a mindset to think, communicate, and learn about the current and the future. So let's move to the skill number three, anticipation. To explain this concept, we should reflect on a couple of things. In the present, there are signals of the future, and these signals are of something that is not yet evident, but which has the potential to become empirical evidence if circumstances permit. Therefore, today, there are futures in progress, even they are not clearly visible for most of us. So let's move to the important skills. Number four is strategic foresight. The disruptive changes in front of us will require choices and decisions, and this will influence how the future world will evolve. So I would like to summarize that into 4P, which is possible, plausible, probable, and preferred future. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's take a look at the screen on the top 10 risks over the next 10 years. So this is predictions by the World Economic Forum, produced by the experts in the field. So as you can see on the screen, it's about the first risk that's going to happen in the next 10 years, even it's happening now, is the extreme weather. So some of the countries are experiencing very cold seasons, and some of the countries very hot. Yeah, so this is like changes in our nature. And the second one is the climate action failure. So this is regarding the carbon dioxide or ozone is become thinner by years. So this is very important for us to preserve the environment for the young generations. And the third one is about the natural disaster. So it's very sad that we always hear news and sad moments from our friends in neighboring country. For example, in Indonesia, there are always been earthquakes everywhere. And last time we being surprised by the news from the Pakistan. So it's been a heavy flood happened at Pakistan. So these natural disasters is become become very active, so we have to be very carefully, because this is actually due to the human-made environmental disasters. So as you can see on the screen is number 5. So I will just go to the number 5, which is everything that happening around us is because of the human, because of the people. So we have to be very carefully to take care of the environment, because in the next 10 years, the prediction will become worse by years. So we should start from now, okay? And then the biodiversity loss is about the petroleum and more on the natural resources that our mother earth have. So on the second section is about the digital and technological. It's about the data fraud or theft. Now if we are looking into the records, there are multiple cases, very many cases regarding the commercial crime. People are being scammed because, yeah, through just simple mechanism like using the social media, and even using Telegram and WhatsApp. People are uh, requesting for money from you, and then they are using your friend's profile. So this is very critical at this moment. Even it's also happening in the professional services like lecturers and the top management level. So we have to be very carefully. This is all regarding to the personal data protection. We should be very carefully when sharing our data. Yeah, I do believe that most of us actually using the same email, the same password for multiple and across the social media platforms. Even you are using the same username and password for the email, right? So this is quite critical for us to understand that there are so many uh, consequences. There are so many loopholes in the system for those who are becoming the scammers or digital scammers to dig into our details. So we have to be very carefully in this term. And also the cyber attacks is regarding the people are getting or intrude into your system. So this become very critical if this we can call that uh, cyber attacks happening to our government system, and even the data will get lost. And last time we also have this scenario that our data gets stolen from this airlines company. So they got spam emails, and their data is exposed to everywhere. You know why? Because now one of the demanding job is the market analysis or data analytic. They can use your data to predict and to understand your lifestyle, your purchasing intention, and so on. So this is during this transition, because of the technology changes. Now we have a metaverse, right? The Facebook are moving forward metaverse, and the metaverse itself is dealing with the people having their own property at the different world, which is digital world. So this is quite interesting for us to look into further on that aspect. And then another issue is about the water crisis. Yeah, on the water crisis, we are very lucky in Malaysia, because we are being uh, provided with a good water system, and we have a good dam, and around Malaysia we are surrounded by water. So thanks to the government and thanks to the management system that providing and working very hard to provide the quality water for us. But somehow in the few years we still listen to these uh, issues regarding the quality of water in certain area in Malaysia, right? and and about the global governance failure is more on the conflicts between the governments, between the countries. So it's happening even now. Yeah, I would say from the United States, from the Ukraine and China. This is major countries, economic holder in around the globe. So they are expected to become worse in the next 10 years. And the last one is the asset bubble. So I have come across to this one talk by the economist expert. Yeah, he mentioned that This is not a moment for you to buy asset. It's not a time for you to buy property, but it's good for you to keep more cash value in your hand. So these are the 10 risks over the next 10 years. It's going to happen not only in Malaysia but all around the globe. Therefore, as a leader, you have to understand what are the skills are being in demand, and what are the forecasting actually jobs is being disruptive, and even what are the skills that you are going to put into your system. So this is based on the study by World Economic Forum on the future of jobs report. They examine the current situation and expected to become uh, slight changes in the next few years. So they expected in 2020, in the current year, the growing skills are analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, creativity, originality and initiative, technology, design and programming, critical thinking and analysis, complex problem solving, leadership and social influence, emotional intelligence, reasoning, problem solving and ideation, and system analysis and evaluation. So from the table, you can see the growing skills are actually really related to the technology. Now we are producing people towards a design or a designer for the technology. So as we move to another sections about the declining skills, so in regards to this, we can say that the manual, dexterity, endurance, precision, memory, verbal, auditory and spatial abilities, management of financial and material resources. So this is related to the financing system, because there are so many financial management being replaced by the system and application, and technology installation and maintenance, reading, writing, math and native listening. So this is also being declining. Management of personnel, quality control and safety awareness, coordination and time management, visual, auditory and speech abilities, technology use, monitoring and control. So as you can see that the growing and declining skills predicted and currently is happening in this 2020 is due to the fast growing of the technology. So the investment now is being in place for many of the sectors, such as the artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT and big data. So those skills actually those technology actually requires people in these specific skills. So as a leader in the VUCA world, it's no longer for you to have outdated skills. Yeah, it's no longer for you to have what we can say that it's not any relevant any longer in this world, because even our generation in current world are the digital generation. They are coming from the millennia and alpha generation. They are starting their life, yeah, even the first day of their life is dealing with the technology. So it's different between their time, between our time. So we have to adapt and very flexible. Sometimes uh, students are we are talking about the teaching and learning. Students are looking forward to a new skill set, yeah, and even the technology used during teaching and learning should be very carefully designed and very carefully being in place. So I would say that it is very important for a young leader and a future leader to understand the big changes, the big difference between the time before, I would say before COVID and after the COVID. So this is a very big gap between that transition, and even now, uh, even we are looking forward on the technology changes, but still the human touch and human approach still need to be there. So I would like to leave you with the take-home message. This is regarding the function of leadership is to produce more leaders, not more followers. So I hope that we can get something from this presentation, even if it's not very detailed, but I do hope that you can get basic idea and understanding on regarding uh, the VUCA itself, the good leadership characteristic, how to become a good team members, and how actually the relationship between the VUCA and the leadership. When we go together, this is how the way we are dealing with the uncertainty, complexity, ambiguous, and the volatility. So I would like to end my presentation with thank you to the participants and listeners for spending your time here, and get back to you back committee members. Thank you, and see you again in different platform in the future. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.